But we got a little bit of time. We're gonna go to the next story. This one I think is very interesting, and we might have a lot to talk about here. I'm very curious on your thoughts, Coy. But I tease this up front that in 2025, this will be the first time, excuse me, not 2017, 2011, that a superhero movie has not reached 700 million worldwide at the box office. Josh Wilding reported this from Comic Book Movie as well. It's becoming increasingly difficult to deny the existence of superhero fatigue, especially when looking at how 2025's Marvel and DC movies have performed at the worldwide box office. Superman is the year's clear winner with an expected 625 million haul by the time its run ends. Fantastic Four First Steps will come in second with a predicted 525 million total, and then it's all downhill from there. Captain America Brave New World tapped out at 415 earlier in the year, while Thunderbolts, the year's best reviewed superhero movie, only managed to reach 383 million when it was all said and done. Thanks to COVID-19, Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, box office prospects were cut short in 2020, and the New Mutants came and went with little fanfare. Taking that aside, with none of 2025's releases set to reach 700 million, this is the first time since 2011, 14 years ago, in a non-pandemic year that a superhero movie has failed to reach that figure. It's a troubling statistic. Thunderbolts was always going to struggle with a cast of characters mostly known from being on streaming, while the Fantastic Four First Steps was tasked with fixing a franchise that has become best known for producing terrible movies based on the reviews and fan response it succeeded. However, the Captain America and Superman franchises underperforming like this is troubling. In the latter's defense, it's coming on the back of a series of awful DC movies, but Cap's fall from grace is legitimately shocking. Is this the beginning of the end for superheroes? That's unlikely. Studios simply need to figure out how to make them for much less money, something we've talked about a lot on this show. And 2026 will be a bigger test as Spider-Man Brand New Day and Avengers Doomsday should be guaranteed to surpass $1 billion. If they don't, then it might be time to panic. Did you skip any of this year's superhero movies? That was a question for their website. However, I do want to ask you guys that as well. Is there, of the four, so we had Superman, Fantastic Four First Steps, Captain America, Brave New World, and Thunderbolts. Are there, not including if you saw them at home, did you skip any of them in the theaters, and which one? Let us know, especially send them via the Super Chats. We'd love to know what you're thinking of that. But Coy, you hear this. We're getting no 700 mil. First time since 2011, what dropped in 2011? Let's see. 2011 superhero movies.
That was like early. That's year 3 of the MCU, man.
Right. That's pre First Avengers.
Yeah, that's pre Avengers. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. 2011, we had the Green Hornet, Thor, X-Men First Class, Green Lantern, Captain America, the First Avenger, Raw 1, All Superheroes Must Die, Immortals, and Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. Okay. Let me just.
But I would also be curious, and this stands by my thesis. What is 2025's box office overall compared to 2012, 13, 14? Like, I think we need to zoom out.
That's also true, but let me. Why don't we do this? I'll give you the top 10 here because let's see. Well, first of all, I'm trying to see which one hits 700 because I have the box office open for 2011, and the highest superhero movie that I see is Thor. Oh, they're saying that was the last time. So Thor was the highest one at 449. So 2012, you hit Avengers, you get $1 billion there. I see what they're saying. Okay.
And since then, it's been.
Yeah. So, but to that point, 2011, the top 10 movies. You had Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows Part 2 hit 1.34 bill. Transformers Dark of the Moon, 1.12 bill. Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, 1.04 bill. Then a pretty decent drop off, but still high up. Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1 at 712. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol at 694. Kung Fu Panda 2 at 665. Fast 5 at 626. Hangover 2 586. Smurfs 563. And Cars 2 559. Those are the top 10. Versus for this year, you have only 2 crossing over $1 billion. You got Niza at 1.899 bill, Lilo at 1.03 bill, Minecraft at 955, Jurassic World Rebirth at 829, How to Train Your Dragon 626, Superman 598, Mission Impossible Final Reckoning 597, F1 595, Fantastic Four 472, and Brave New World at 415. So that's a pretty sizable drop off for movies as a whole. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that is a major thing to keep in mind. I'm not saying that I disagree with the idea of we need to have movies that do not cost nearly as much money. I think they're putting too much money into making these movies, and that is not helping. But I do think that ultimately we just have to remember that people just aren't hitting the movies up the way that they used to, especially, 2011 feels like the last bastion before movies were just gangbusters making money like crazy. It wasn't just
2011. I mean, if you look at Avengers, that shifted a lot of things in movies in general. But
I don't know if I could rave about trade any more than I do, but man, let me try because I love it. Summer's over now. Oh, it's getting to be over, and so I'm just locked into this morning routine, and I love trade coffee. I really do look forward to wake up in the morning and whoa, trade coffee. Here we go. They recommend beans that I love. They know me well enough now, and they ensure that they're roasted to order. They ship them fresh to my door. I've gotten so many great coffees. I would have definitely never found these at the grocery store. There's no way. And every cup is really perfect. I just love it. It's so damn satisfying. Trade Coffee is the #1 coffee destination in the U.S. for both hot and cold coffee drinkers. They've sourced the best beans from over 50 top roasters across the U.S. They even have easy-to-use curated gear so you can brew at home with better flavor and value than any cafe or bottled cold brew. I'm telling you, it's like my morning routine. I have Trade. I don't. If you know my show, you know how much I love Trade. It's just the best. The bags that they send are great. I have I'm able to I grind the beans. I love them, and I've never gone back. Right now, Trade is offering 50% off a 1-month trial, but you got to go to drinktrade.com/Christian. That's drinktrade.com/Christian. Get 50% off 1 month. Drinktrade.com/Christian. Go there. Tell them that we sent you. Love Trade Coffee. I love Trade Coffee.
like there were so many franchises hitting between now and then, and now it's like we get the occasional Lilo and Stitch, the occasional Minecraft. Obviously, Oppenheimer and Barbie, like that was its own thing, but like I just looked at the different box offices like since 2020, and it's a really different thing. 2023, we are at 33.9 billion. 2022, 26 billion. 2021, a mere 21 billion. But if you look at 2019, it's 42 billion.
Right.
So like and then 2018 overall box office, 30 billion. Like it's just the scale is different, and inflation, and like there's just so many things to account. I'm not disagreeing that people are going to superhero movies less. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they're also going to the movies less. So I do think it's an overall movie theater conversation as much as it is a comic book movie conversation. I do think that comic book movies are in a new era. I've said it before, like the golden age to silver age of comics changed comics. I think we're entering a different age of comic book movies, and it's a more specific audience. I think it's great. The movies are getting more specific again. Like, feel like they have something to say. I feel like they're a better quality. I think Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and Superman were all much better than movies years past. Yeah. But they need to recalibrate expectation and budget accordingly if that's going to be a new era. So I think we're going to see. There's always going to be outliers, but to me, the big red herring, what the canary in the coal mine was Jurassic World. Like that was the first Jurassic World to not make $1 billion. And it's a fifth lower. And I heard a number of people talk about how 800 million is the new 1 billion. That is a $200 million difference. That's most movies' entire
drop
budget.
What was I was going to say, what was the budget for Rebirth? Because that in and of itself would be something to be like, oh shit.
Also 2011 or let's say 2010 to 2020, China loved our movies and they don't now.
No.
And we need to look at international as a very different thing. Like it's not the same. And the legs on movies, because we're letting them go to streaming in 60 days or less. There's so many factors. I just think it's a perfect storm problem, but I feel like people are looking for one thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that is, let me see real quick. I want to see what Dominion, because Rebirth is reported at about 180 for the budget. I want to see what Dominion's budget was. So the estimated budget for that was damn near $500 million, somewhere around 465, which is nuts. That is
Yeah.
absolutely nuts that they spent that much money making that shitty movie.
I like Jurassic World better than any other Jurassic World. I like Rebirth more than any other Jurassic World.
I'm talking about Dominion. I'm not even going
Dominion. Oh yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
How quickly we change our tune there, Coy.
That's just crazy. That's just.
But you're right. It's still crossed $1 billion. But I think you hit the nail on the head. I think you have to look at so many things. You have to look at the economy. You have to look at, like you said, American movies aren't hitting in China the way that they used to. China has taken a lot of that energy and put it into their own film industry and how that's going. You have the fact that these studios decided to go gung-ho on streamers, and streamers like try and say that they don't. They take a massive cut out of things. And then the last thing, I'm not putting this at the feet of Gen Z at all, but I think in the same way that like we have taken a step back and like Gen Z doesn't drink nearly as much. They don't go to bars. And partly that was the pandemic and the age at which the elder of Gen Z would have done that and been in college and maybe doing that after graduating, and they didn't. It just wasn't something that picked up, and then it just became a thing. They just drink significantly less. A lot of studies have come out that like if they're gonna drink, they're getting one really nice ass drink, and then but they're not gonna be like us, where we were like, "Hey, get the pretty rag, we play beer pong all night, dog." Like that doesn't happen, and so it's the same thing we've seen for a lot of Gen Z. They are more interested in shorter content, or the specific types of movies that draw them in is different. There's just a lot of different things that have just evolved, and it's time for the studios to understand that. They got to understand that things have changed and find another way to either bring older folks back to the theaters, millennials and higher, bringing younger folks back in, or find a way to connect with Gen Z in a way that they can't miss these types of events,
Yeah, I think there's a lack of socialization that, happened to all of us, every generation during the pandemic. And I can't imagine being a 13-year-old and having from 13 to 16 not being out much. And then I also can't imagine being like a 19-year-old to 22-year-old not drinking. Like I started drinking young. But like I can't imagine that era, that not being part of a habit. And that would change the rest of my adult life. 2020 was 5 years ago now. If I didn't drink for for 3 formative years, why would I start it after necessarily?
Right.
And the same with movies. If I didn't start going to the movies when I had a car, if I didn't start going to the movies when I had, some income, I don't know that I would start it. So I think there is huge gaps in expectation.
No, absolutely. And like I said, I'm not putting this at the feet of Gen Z at all. Like this is the studios to figure out how to make more quad 4 movies, or make enough movies for everybody that they all want to go and see their own thing in the theater. That is up to them. And they kind of did this to themselves. Again, I think with how they've pushed streamers as hard as they have. But bless you. But that's one of the things in general. Every generation, when they become the centerpiece of society, they just handle things differently, from entertainment to socialization to how they handle their money, things like that. And it's both how the world is affected around them and how they're affecting the world. So I think that's just the big deal. I think that we have not seen movies be in the same centerpiece the way they were for us and generations past. Because if you even think about it, last thing, we started becoming the generation where TV stars were a thing. Because remember how the movie stars used to look down on TV? Oh, yeah. You had to go to a TV show with your ghetto ass. But we were the age where all of a sudden doing both was hot. You know what I'm saying? Being Walter White and then going off and doing a blockbuster like Godzilla or whatever. Not that Godzilla did super great, but you know what I'm saying? Like that was normal to do some stuff like that.
I think a huge thing we're also not addressing is, in addition to things going to streaming, it's $5 a movie if you watch 4 movies and you've got a $20 a month streaming service. Money right now is
the economy, 1,000%.
We've never it's so hard because there have been 2008 financial crises, and that didn't affect the teenagers, then it affected their parents. The fallout of the dollar is affecting more generations in a different way. and it's also not being addressed the same way. Like the fact that we're not in a recession, and everyone is hurting so bad. Like I don't think we're accounting in any of these stats and equations the financial element. Like it's not just that movies cost $12 to $20 just depending on where you live. It's the fact that a burger costs $12 to $20 depending on where you live, and you got to eat. Like it's crazy to me.
Bro, the fact that my fat ass literally might start losing weight. Like I actually just came from the doctor this morning. The doctor was like, "Yeah, man, you down 12 pounds." I said, what? Great. I love it. And I literally thought to myself, probably because the last time I went to go get fast food, I literally was like, all right, let me just get like a burger, fry, and a drink. And they're like, cool, $15. I said, 15? Bitch, this is a value menu. What?
Dude, Taco Bell is like an $18. I remember Taco Bell being like, I've got a 5 on me, and it means something.
Coy, $18 at Taco Bell meant you fed your family for 2 weeks.
Oh, 100%. Like if you spend $18 at Taco Bell, like you don't feel great. Like you've done something wrong. So like I don't think that is
at Taco Bell would have fed an entire frat house for a party.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah. And now it's like dinner. But I don't think we're taking that into account. So in addition to streamers being like $15 for a whole month of infinite content, people not wanting to leave their house, you leave your house, it costs $50 now, just leaving the door. So like that's a thing. And I feel like that's it's hard because I love these pieces of art and I love supporting them, but I use AMC A-List almost exclusively because I can't afford to go to the Lemley as much as I want or to Alamo Draft House as much as I want. So if you don't have that, everything is $25. It's crazy, man.
That's the thing that's wild to me. Where we used to work at iPick, it was wild that movies cost $30 to get in. Now going to regular ass movie theaters, like you're damn near spending $30 just to get in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like IMAX is going to set you back $28. Regular ass movies are going to set you back at least 20. So like,
and people are trained to not leave the house.
Yeah, that's the other thing. When you have everything at home, when you've got that great sound system, when you have that big ass TV, and when the movies are out within a month and a half's time, why go? You know what I mean? And especially if you go and then you're going to deal with people. Because the other thing that kills me is the social norms of watching movies is gone. And that to me becomes a pretty big turnoff as well. So I'm not saying that superhero movies don't need to wake up. I'm
not either, but I am saying it's more than that. And like, if we can do these sing-alongs for K-pop Demon Hunters, which sounds like actual hell to me, then we should be able to do actual restrained theaters. Like maybe we have a smoking section and we have a talking section in like theater 5, be a dumbass. Theater 1, we're going to actually watch the movie. Like we play the movie in 2 houses. One is like be an asshole. One is like I'm watching the movie. And I think we need to start like fixing the theater socialization industry.
Yeah, and
have an usher standing at the bottom of every other theater, and those are the silent theaters.
That's fair. And I mean, I'll be honest with you. I do think it's probably something that's going to differentiate per IP and per where you live.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm sure there are smaller theaters that you could go to your little indie one, or like, you know how Burbank has like 3 different AMCs. I like going to 16 to like the big one, but sometimes I like going to the smaller one off in the pocket
because they're emptier and like hidden.
So I can literally just go and just be quiet and just be like, oh, thank God, and just whatever, you know. But again, it does not mean they don't need to shrink budgets. It doesn't mean that they don't need to keep an eye on that and understand kind of what they've done. Like they need to continue to make superhero film. We might need to get less of them yearly and make them bigger events again. And that might
take your time making them quality. I love that the DCU films seem to be wrapping a year before they're out, because you actually can make visual effects look good. And like, there's just there's so many things to be said, but I think we just need to zoom out a little too.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. But what do y'all think? Let us know in the comments. Throw in them super chats. Tell us your experiences in the movie theaters. And do you think that the superhero genre is in trouble? First time since 2011 that we have seen no superhero movie cross 700 million, which is kind of a wild statement to say that it was that long of a stretch, but it really became the norm. Let us know what you think in the comments. Okay.